Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be doing some painting, but we have to do some prep work first. So I'm going to take this Xbox case, which is already apart and cleaned, and I'm going to do the labels here. And these need to be covered off so that the paint doesn't cover them, obviously. Need to do a little prep work before we can paint. So we're going to use 3M tape. The duct tape is super duper duper strong, and the last time I used it, it ended up peeling off the top coating of the reflective sticker on the bottom. So we'll use the lighter blue, which is 3M. And we'll use this to tape off all the stickers. And we want to make sure you get it down tight. We're going to use my fingernails to get the edges so that they are flush down with the plastic. That way when I trim it, it will be a lot cleaner. I'll probably still have to do some touch up because my hands are not steady, so occasionally I wind up cutting away more of the tape than I should. And I know this looks like a counterproductive way of doing it. It's just faster than, sitting there trying to line it each edge up with the tape. I could just do it this way, do the crease, and then do a quick razor to clean it up. And no, I'm not trimming it here. I'm just pushing it a little bit further down. The thicker part of the paper, the tape, is a little bit harder to get down so that you can cut it properly without it making it look like crap. So we got that one sticker done. We're going to start with this other. Normally I would do one, but I'm going to do two today. It'll make it go a little bit quicker. I mean, I still have to do the same amount of cutting, but it's just easier to tape it this way. So we got that on there. Let's go ahead and get the edges pushed down. We're going to do this on both sides for each sticker. And this not only makes it easier to trim, but it also gets the tape down on the surface a lot stronger so that the paint doesn't get underneath it. Now we're going to do this back power sticker. This basically tells the voltage of the system. I'm going to clean it off real quick so that I know the tape will adhere to this because it's a smaller area. I'm not 100% sure whether or not the tape is going to stay down properly. So I want to give it the best chance of staying in place. This is actually the first time I've done this sticker, so we're going to see how it turns out. Normally I just paint over it because it's in the back of the system, but I want this system to look absolutely perfect. And I'm just temporarily covering that over until I have a chance to cut it. I don't want it to get snagged on the towel, so I'm just putting it down onto the case. So now I'm looking for a brand new razor. So give me a second. Let me look through my drawers. Here's one. And it's brand new. You want brand new because once you start using them for a while, especially if you do anything other with them, they're going to be a little bit dull and it's going to cause jagged edges on these cuts. And so every time I do a case, I use a brand new razor. They're not expensive. You can get 100 packs online for like $8, $9. So they'll last you a good long time. Sorry, I need to take a vape and grab my glasses real quick. So now this is the fun part, and this is the most tedious part of painting the case, is trimming the tape down. So I'm just going to get started. I go real slow. One, I don't want to cut myself. And two, the slower you go, the better it's going to look. So take your time. Don't rush through this. Occasionally, you're going to wind up going off where you want to cut. And it'll probably happen to me here. I'll show you how to fix it. It's not the end of the world if you cut a little bit into the plastic, as long as you're not putting too much force down on it. You basically want to barely be doing this, just enough force just to cut down through the sticker. So I think I might have just messed it up there. Let me turn it around and go from the other angle. I probably screwed the sticker up there, not the sticker, but the tape, so I might have to retape this when it's done. Just remember, take your time, no rushing here. A few more minutes here is going to make your system look so much better when you're finished with it. And if you're lazy, by all means, skip this step. Most people don't ever see the bottom of a system, but I like the systems to look like they're a fresh out of the box system when I'm finished with them. So to be able to see the stickers, to know what the serial number is, the date of manufacture, stuff like that. A lot of people care about that and want to see that, so I make sure that when I'm doing it, I always leave them. Now here I'm going to stop real quick because I don't want to peel up the other side when I'm trying to peel this back. So I'm just going to probably just hold off on this. Yeah, I'm going to hold off on this and do it in a minute. Let me go ahead and trim the other side first. And that way I don't risk peeling it up, so I don't have to do it again. And remember, take your time, go slow. If you have to turn the system around, see, I just screwed it up again. If you have to turn the system around, go ahead. Like I said, a little extra time now is a better product in the end. Flip it around, and I'm going to do this a little bit more. So we should have it, so I could just peel it off. Yeah, I know it. I missed that little spot there, so I'm going to have to do that again. I'll just tape over. I'll take the time on this one and just and see, I did there too. I'll take the time on this one and go back and add just a little strip of tape to cover that up. And I'll actually line it up instead of cutting it this time, because I could do it shorter than the actual sticker and it's fine, so it won't take as long. And then clean this little strip up. So that one's fixed. Let's do this other one real quick. Gotta make a clean edge on this. Give me a second. Making a jagged edge on it, it's really hard to get up against. And I have a phone call interrupting my video. Gotta love it. Don't know who you are, but go away. I'm busy. So let me trim this up real quick. Last little piece, and we should be good to go on the bottom. Well, for these two stickers. So let's get this other sticker now. That looks good. All right. And I kind of screwed this part up right here. You can see a little bit of the white sticker showing through. That was for me using the back side of the razor blade to kind of press the tape down. But I'll fix that. And we'll do the side. And we will try to remove this slowly. Yep, see there's a little bit showing there. Not a big deal. Honestly, since the case is being painted white, I don't even think I'm going to bother with that. Alright, so now I'll go ahead and do it. Let's get this edge done real quick. Just because I'm a perfectionist when it comes to stuff like this. I don't want anything to look like crap that goes out my door. So there might be some things that I can't fix, but if it's something that I can fix, there's no reason not to take the extra few seconds to do it. Alright. So we're going to flip around this case and clean up a little bit of this extra tape real quick. That way it makes it a little bit easier when I'm working on it from the side. That should be good enough for now. Yeah. There we go. That's good enough for now. So I want to push this down a little bit and get it so it's nice, strong bond between the sticker and the tape. And then we'll go ahead and trim out this excess. Hopefully soon I can get another camera that autofocuses like the side shot. I probably should swap them, but I'm not sure whether or not I have enough room with this tripod. Well, not tripod, but it's an arm that holds the camera. So I'm going to wait till I get another camera before I start messing with that. And then I'll have both cameras will autofocus for me, and I won't have to worry about manually doing it anymore. Now be careful with this. Like I said, this is the first time I've done this one, so I mean, I'm not too worried about it myself. But it is a small area to get into. And see, I'm having trouble even accessing underneath the power jack. But just be careful, take your time. And I'm going to trim up a little bit on the edge, going back towards the power connector. And we'll turn this around so we get a better view. Just a quick little easy scrape, and then with my fingernail I should be able to get that off of there. Come on. Scrapey, scrapey. There we go. Got it. and just push it down one more time just to make sure it is good to go. And we are officially done with the bottom. Stickers look nice. Let's double check and push all the edges down real quick. Make sure it's got good contact. And we are good to go. So now I'm going to use just a little bit more tape. And we're going to fix that real quick because that still didn't get fixed. Where is it? Oh, no, it's this one. This one had a little bit off. So now it should be nice and clean when I do it. Yeah, let's go ahead and put a little bit on this one, because I see it's a little off on this one too. Yeah, you can see it a little bit better when I lift it up. It's the sticker's not as wide as the space that the sticker goes down into, and I wasn't completely steady when I did it, so that's why it did that. So just a quick little cleanup. I know I should probably take the time and do it like this from the beginning, but it's just so much quicker. Usually I don't mess up the cuts, and it's so much quicker just tape over the whole thing and then cut it out. I'd say out of every 10 systems that I paint, I screw up the cut on one of them. So it's not too bad, and the amount of time I save it's just easier just to cover the whole thing and then cut it out. All right, so we have the front bezel. Everything looks nice. We're going to paint the cover the top parts and this middle area so that this doesn't get paint on it. It's in good condition. None of the tabs are broke. I'm going to wipe this down real quick so that I know that the tape will make a good stick. Rubbing alcohol 91%. It's your best friend. So we'll get that cleaned up real quick so I know that the tape is going to stick and create good lines. I handle this a lot more than the case, and there's not much room to handle it other than the areas that are going to be painted and taped. So I got to make sure this gets cleaned off well to make sure the tape sticks. And you don't want to use the light blue tape on this, the 3M. It's not as sticky, and I noticed that the lines are not as clean. So I use Duck brand tape. It's Duck brand painter's tape. And we're going to tape over the top part, and we're going to push all the way up to the edge across the crack. And you'll see why I'm doing this here in a minute. I don't want any part of the crack visible. I want it to look like I've basically taped over to the next section of plastic across the crack. What we're going to do is we're going to wind up pushing that tape down. It's going to fold up underneath the crack, and it is going to allow for a much cleaner, nicer peel once it's done. And it'll be a much cleaner paint line. The light blue paint tape, it does not do very well with paint lines. It seems to be really jagged. So that's why I use that on the bottom, again, because of the fact that it's not as sticky. It doesn't peel off the coating on the reflective stickers. Let's do the other side real quick. the towel being underneath this, but I had some solder on the table and I have to scrape it off because it's kind of melted into the table. And I didn't want to do that before I did the video, so I just put the towel down to make sure that none of the case parts get scraped. And so we got it all the way up against the edge. We are going to take an old razor blade and we're going to put 3 pieces of tape. 2, 3. Sorry, my childhood Sesame Street days are coming out. So we got 3 pieces of tape. We're going to cover up the blade of the razor. I don't want to scrape. I don't want to cut. I just want to use it as a wedge. We fold the tape over, basically double sides the razor with the tape, and I do 3 layers of it. This still is thin enough to get down into the crack, but thick enough so that it won't allow the razor to go through, do any damage. We're going to cut off the excess off the sides real quick. And then I could use it to push down into the crack and wedge the tape back up against the lip so that it gives a nice clean peel when I'm done. And you can see all of the crack now. The only part you can't see is the top part of the crack underneath where the tape is. Now this bezel, you got to get the bezel. You don't have to get the front flat part where the power buttons go. And we'll do the other side real quick. And then the side, that's looking good. And then I'm going to do a second piece on the other side so that I can cover up the top part of the plastic and make sure none of that gets painted on. And we're going to go back to the other side and do the same thing on this one. Usually give it about a quarter of an inch of tape and then fold it the rest of the way over. Come on. And then we will do the front. I usually put it up to the edge. It's already a tight fit when you're putting the front plate on. It basically barely snaps into place, so adding 3-4 layers of paint, I've noticed it makes it almost impossible to get these back on. So you want to do this. You don't want to paint this part. Don't feel lazy and skip this if you're going to paint, even if you don't care about the rest of the case, like the stickers, the stickers and whatnot. Fine, whatever, but this is going to cause you hell if you do not tape this part off when you paint. Even if it's a one color system, always tape this part off. I'll put this here for a minute. I'll probably redo that. That's not very good seal. So we'll cover up the top real quick, push these back behind, and a little bit exposed there, grab a little bit more tape. And we will push that on the side, cover that black spot up. And we are good to go. That is all taped up now. And so we're going to get 4 more pieces of tape. Each ni san shi. And they don't have to be long, about 1.5 inches, 2 inches a piece. And I'm going to cover up these posts that go into connecting the system together. Because once again, these get too thick, it makes it hard to get the system back together. And then we'll do the other side. And I always kind of fold up the paper, the tape a little bit. It makes it easier getting them off these, especially once they've been painted. You don't want to pull too hard on them because the plastic is brittle as hell. You'll wind up breaking it off. So a little bit of forethought. Make sure you leave yourself a little tab that you can peel off without having to fight the tape. Yeah, let's go ahead and redo this one. I'm going to do it the same way as the other one. And we'll fold this under and then flip it. There we go. So we are good to go on this. This is looking good. Just make sure everything's pushed down. And we will grab the final piece, the top. Let's go ahead and wipe this down a little bit just for the areas that are going to be exposed to the tape. I'm going to make sure that they get a good bond. So we'll do the triangle first. I'll just do the whole thing. Get these triangles really good. These are usually where most of the dirt collects on an Xbox, so when you clean these, clean them out really well and then wipe them down really good to make sure all the oils and dirt are gone. So on this, we're going to do the typical X pattern that I do. Same thing with these. You want to get the tape all the way to the edge because we're going to once again fold down. And this is where the razor blade is especially handy. It's just wide enough to fit down in these cracks for the triangle here. And trying to do anything else, you can wind up tearing the tape, pulling on the tape, whatever. It's just a little bit easier and it's a lot cleaner to do it this way. So we're going to fold down this, fold that under, and then I'm going to come back and clean up this little spot right here. I'll just do a quick little cut and peel that away. Because I don't want to be too thick when I put on the other piece of tape the other direction. And we are done with that one. Let's get the tape away. There we go. And then we will push this down. Wedge it back and forth. It makes a good bond with the sides. Yep, and I just did what I said not to do. See, I just pushed the tape and made it worse. So let me wedge this back, get that flat again. And then we'll do the other angle. All right. I have to get some more tape here soon. So we'll get that as close as possible. And then we're going to peel it off and fold it down. And then fold back the excess. And And now I'll grab a couple of pieces of tape to cover up the exposed plastic that's still there. Folding it under the case. And this will hold it in place. We'll clean this up just a little bit more real quick, just to make sure it's good to go. And that looks alright. I'm going to put another piece of tape across the whole thing because there's a little bit extra plastic that's exposed on the sides. And I'll probably forget to do this on the other side, but it's not as exposed on the other side as it is on this side because the way it's made. So it's not as important on the front as it is on the rear of the system. I mean, it's really not important on the rear unless you're a perfectionist like I am, but nobody will see it anyway because it goes into the case. Just in case anybody ever opens it up, it's going to look nice. So let's do the side real quick. And this always messes me up, the angles, but you want to make sure that you get it all the way up against the edge. Push it down nice and tight, and we'll peel off a little bit extra. Didn't need that much. It's going to get ripped off the side here in a second. But I'm going to use the razor to push down on the last fin. And then I'm going to adjust the tape so that it continues that line. And then I'm going to fold the tape down along the edge. And you'll see it if you're taping your own, you'll see the edge that I'm talking about. It'll fold right down to the edge. And it will be perfect. You can bend the tape down and it will basically cover up that whole edge. So let's wedge this in, make sure all the tape is up against the fins. That looks good. And this is the process that I go through on every system that I paint. Don't think it's a rushed process. I mean, you can obviously see that this video is almost 50 minutes long. This is just me prepping the case to paint it. So when I'm painting a case, I usually spend from cleaning to prepping to painting to touching up probably 6 hours on a case. And everybody's like, "Oh, why is it $35 to $50 to paint a case? Why, dude, $35 to $50 to paint a case is a bargain, especially with as much time as I put into it, and then add in the fact I use an $8 can of paint. Well, six something plus tax. But you know, you put that much time and effort into something, you want it to look good. But I still try to give everybody a bargain on what I do. I mean, I'm charging less than I charge just for my labor to do the paint. So this looks good. Let me do this side real quick. Get that nice and clean up against the edges. And like a full paint job, like what I'm doing here, this is going to be a 2-color paint job. I would think that it's got to be well worth over $100 to do a full case as far as a paint job goes. But I can't sell it as a $100 case. So I basically pay for my labor. You guys get the paint for free. And it comes out looking really nice because I take my time with it. Alright, so let's start on the other side real quick and then I'll go back and fill them up. trying to cut tape with a razor that's not a razor. All right, let's get this down in the crack. And that looks all right. We'll fold this down. I'm sorry, I'm off camera. At least you can see me on the side camera. So let's get this pushed down, get it cleaned up a little bit. Get another angled piece of tape real quick. Sorry, I'm sniffly today. My allergies are driving me nuts. A little corner cut. A little too far there. Let me pull it back up and adjust that. Yeah, that'll work. Dull razor to do the fin. Let's adjust the line. That looks good. Pull it up just a little bit. Try it one more time. There we go. And I thought about cutting this video down and doing a time lapse, but I want you guys to see the amount of effort that I put into these systems and what kind of quality you are going to get when I work on a system. Because it's like some people think that I just go outside in the backyard, grab a can of spray paint, and just start spray painting. It don't work that way. Let's see if we get this little piece up. Oh, pulled up the whole tape. Let me just cut it. Do a light little scratch on the tape there. There we go. Let's pull this down and wedge it and get that clean. All right, let's do the other side. And a little too long. Ah, damn thing. There we go. Peel this down, fold it under. Grab a couple of pieces of tape. Oh, yeah, let's wedge this in here real quick. Get that clean. And it looks like I forgot one over here. I'll get this in a minute. Probably forget about it. But I always redo them right before I paint, so if I do forget about it, it's not a big deal. It will get done before it goes under the spray can. Fold this under. Alright, so that part's done. Now let's go back and cover up these. This doesn't take too long. I always mess up the first one though, because I think I'm folding it down like the other one. And then I realize that I have to fold it over to the side, so I always have lots of excess. And then I just do a crisscross pattern back and forth the same way on each side. excess tape I just throw on there. It's not going to hurt it to be there. Another piece. Fold this one over, tear off the excess. So it looks like that. We're going to trim this real quick because I couldn't tear that very easily. And that way I don't have to fight with it. A few more pieces of tape and we'll be done with this side. And you know, the way you tape it, it doesn't have to be the same way that I do it. Just make sure that the tape is covering everything well. Make sure that the tape is sticking to the other pieces of the tape well so that it doesn't allow drips to go down through it. And just make sure you take your time and tape it off well so that you don't have to go back and do touch-ups afterwards, because that's a bitch. You know, going back and having to fix something that if you would have just taken a few seconds of your time to do it right, you wouldn't have to worry about that. So just take your time, make sure everything's sticking well to the system, to the case, and you'll be happier with the finished product in the end. So let's go ahead and fold this over now. We'll take a vape real quick. A few tapes on the front and the side. And get this covered up. And two more, it looks like. Oh, damn towel. Ah. And that last piece. Now, make sure everything's nice and firmly, not firmly, securely placed. Can't even think. Make sure all the tape is secure together. Push everything down. All right, before I forget to do this, let me do this real quick. We'll wedge this last edge in. Because if I don't do it now, I'll probably forget, and then when it comes to painting, I won't be able to find a razor because I'll be outside, and it'd be a pain in the ass. So we'll do it now. Now, I had already started painting this case before. The bottom shell and the front I hadn't started, but I started on the top, and that was when I had the little rain delay. I'll show you what it looks like afterwards. One of them I got so angry with that I just kind of chucked it up against the retaining wall, and it like shattered into like 1,000 pieces. But the other one, I'll let you see what it looks like. It it's kind of funny. It's almost brown now, brownish red from the dirt and the debris that splashed up onto it when I got caught in that rainstorm. So I'll take a picture of that and show that to you. But fortunately, I had only started on the top because I was working on the top for the other white case, and didn't have enough room to do more than just the two tops at the time. And looked like absolute crap after the rain. And there was so much debris that was stuck in the paint. It would have been too much time to sand it down. Hopefully, sand it down, hoping that it would look all right. It is a textured surface, so you start sanding stuff down and you start to lose that texture. And unless you do the whole thing, part of it's going to show up as smooth, part of it's going to show up as textured. And I'm not down for that. So I want to make sure that it looks good. So we look like we are just about finished here. Just let me make sure all this stuff is nice and tight. And we are pretty much good to go now. We got the top, the front, and the bottom all prepped to go. So thanks, guys. That's it for this video. I will hopefully be able to get on to painting this one today, at least get started on it, and we will go from there. Until the next video, remember, like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.